Hey guys and girls, what is up? Welcome back to Jumbo Bunny. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make jumbo gummy hands. Now I'm not actually sure why I wanted to make jumbo gummy hands, but I had these gloves sitting around the house and I just thought, why not? They honestly look a little bit creepy when they're still around the gummy, like just sitting on the table. But the idea is, once you cut the gloves off the gummy hands, it'll look awesome. So let's get started. So the first thing you're going to need is a large pot. You're also going to need a measuring container and a few different types of jelly. You can use as many different jellies as you want. I happen to use 4 because I had 4 gloves. You'll also need gelatin powder. And I show you 1 gelatin powder here, but I think you probably need 2 at least. And lastly, you need some gloves. So the first thing you're going to do is fill up your pot with water. Now my gloves were jumbo size. It was crazy. I actually measured it out and each glove held almost a liter of water. So I ended up having to use 4 liters of water for this. And because my pot can only hold 2 liters of water at any one time, I actually had to do this twice. So fill up your pot with water and put it on the stove and bring it to a boil. Then slowly add your gelatin in as it's boiling and mix it around until it dissolves. Now, I did this slowly at first because I didn't want the gelatin to clump up, but no matter what you do, I think the gelatin is going to clump up. It's not a problem though, because even though it clumps up, just keep mixing, and eventually the clumps will disappear. After the gelatin had all melted, I wanted to remove all the bubbles from the top of the mixture, just so there wouldn't get any bubbles in my actual gummy. Next, let the pot cool down, and then you're going to transfer your gelatin mixture into some pouring containers. So for the first one, I'm going to use some purple grape jelly to give it some flavor. And then pour in the gelatin mixture, and then mix it all around so that the jelly dissolves. Once the jelly's dissolved, set it aside and let it cool down. And while it's cooling down, you can prepare the next one. So for the next one, I added some green lime jelly. Again, mix it so it dissolves and then set it aside and let it cool down. You don't want to be pouring these really hot mixtures into the rubber gloves. Like, maybe it wouldn't melt through the glove, but it was really hot, so it was really hard to handle. So whilst those first 2 were cooling, I actually started making my second batch of gummy. So again, I poured 2 liters of water into my pot and then brought it to the boil. I added in all my gelatin at once this time, and then kept mixing it until it eventually dissolved. So once the second mixture was boiled through, I again poured it into some measuring containers and then added a blue and a red jelly. So once your jelly mixtures have cooled down, you can start pouring it into your gloves. This part is actually best if you have another person around to help you, but I didn't, so I had to do it by myself. And it's a little bit tricky, but as you can see there, if you're careful, you can do it. Make sure you don't fill it right up to the top because you need that top bit of glove to actually hang it off something. I ended up hanging mine off a clothes hanger with some bull clips. So now that you've gotten the hang of it, you can pour in the rest of the jelly into your gloves. So I don't think I left the second batch of jelly to cool enough in the measuring containers before I started pouring it into the glove. Luckily it didn't melt, but it was super hot and like the steam kind of hurt my finger when I was holding it. So make sure you guys allow plenty of time for it to cool. So after I hung all of them on the clothes hangers, I actually wanted them to stay somewhere nice and cool so that they would gummify more quickly. So I actually set up this crazy looking thing in our fridge, and yeah, I realize it looks super weird. It's like next to the apples and some sweet potatoes. So I left these in overnight to make sure that they were fully gummified before taking them out, and then I slowly and carefully took them out the next day. They looked really firm to me, so I was really happy with the result. They look a little bit creepy just sitting there in a row on the table, but I was looking forward to removing the gloves and seeing the result. So I took some fine scissors and carefully cut the gloves away from the jelly. As I was cutting away the first glove, I started noticing that like the tips of the fingers were a bit too heavy for the glove and it was ripping the gummy in half. So then I turned it over, but then the other side of the hand started ripping as well. I think the gummy was a little bit too heavy, and because the glove was so bulbous, there was too much weight on either side and it was weighing the sides down. So anyway, the first gummy hand was a little bit of a fail. As you can see, the fingers even came off as well. So I wanted to try a different way of taking out the second one. I tried to do it like vertically. And in my mind, that would like counteract the gravity of it all, so turned it up and then slowly tried to cut off the glove this way. Guys, this was actually super hard to do. I was being really careful, but it was still super hard. Something that would make it easier is definitely if you have like really sharp scissors. But then it got really hard to actually like cut off the fingers, so I had to lay it down, and then as soon as I laid it down to try and cut off the fingers, they broke off as well. I was getting so annoyed at this point. I was like, is this actually gonna work? Maybe I should have used even more gelatin, but I feel like I used a lot already. Anyway, so that was the second hand, so that's 2 out of 2 fails so far. It's still pretty fun to play with though, don't get me wrong. So I tried another method for the third one. I used my bull clips and clipped it on the clothes hanger yet again, trying to counteract the effect of gravity. This one was actually looking pretty promising. I was getting like the finger and stuff off. But then gradually the effects of gravity were still too strong. Cracks started appearing even around the fingers. So I didn't know what to do. I was like, I failed. I was gonna have to make like another batch. I was so disappointed. Look at it. Look at the gravity do its job. That, by the way, looks super weird. I don't know what this like single finger was doing, but it looked kind of weird. I pretty much gave up. I just cut the last glove straight through the middle just for a bit of fun. I knew that I was going to stuff it up anyway. And then I was like, hey, maybe I'll just rip the glove off really quickly. And then, oh my gosh, look at this. This is insane. It actually worked. Like, I just ripped it off so quick thinking that the fingers would fall off automatically, but they actually all stayed on. It was insane. I don't really understand. And just look how weird they look. They're so like wobbly. Eventually, like the gravity again still did its work and the fingers fell off. But I had like a minute where the hand was perfect. So, I don't know guys, I was pretty happy with that last glove. It was so weird, it was like wiggling in my hand like a jellyfish. So, I was happy enough with that experience that I didn't actually decide to do this again. but if I was gonna do it again, I would definitely add more gelatin. In fact, I would probably add either double or triple the amount of gelatin. And then I destroyed it, as usual. It was really fun to cut up, and it was super clear. Because I don't think I used that much gelatin, the mixture was like really crystal clear. You could see through to the other side, and it was awesome. It was also nice and refreshing. So I did actually also try and eat some of the gummy, and it tasted really good, but then I was like, what is this weird aftertaste that I was getting? It was kind of bitter, and I wasn't sure whether it was like the gelatin that I'd used, because the gelatin doesn't normally taste very good. But then I realized it was actually the powder on the inside lining of the gloves. So guys, definitely if you're planning on actually eating this, make sure you wash the inside of the gloves before you put the gummy in. I actually completely forgot this step, so definitely don't forget that if you're planning on eating it. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that DIY. I'm sorry that it didn't work perfectly, but I was so happy and surprised by the last gummy hand that I just wanted to show you this whole process. So don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, leave a comment and subscribe if you want to see more. And I'll see you all in a few days. Bye!